to smokefree.nz.
All new Pacific Mornings with Will on 531 PI.
It is 13 minutes past 8 o'clock. You're listening to Pacific Mornings on 531 PI. It's great to have your company. I'm William Teresi in the chair with you through until 9 a.m. this morning. Time to talk politics now. Joining me is Labour MP Tangi Utikere. A very good morning to you, sir.
Oh, kia ora, Will. Good to be with you.
Likewise. Hey, thanks so much for your time. Look, let's go there straight away. I want to talk bus and train fares. Now, perhaps there's the suggestion it may surge by up to 70% to meet NZTA's targets. Your take on that?
Yeah, this is very disappointing. This is an additional cost for households. What we've seen is a real desire from the government to basically try and find some money. And when we look around the country, they've basically slashed the budgets that councils have to provide public transport. When we talk about public transport, we're not just talking about buses, we're talking about rail opportunities, ferry, and the like. The bulk of it, though, will be through buses. So this is really disappointing and providing an extra cost on households that simply don't need that right now.
Yeah, certainly. I want to pick up on that point there. I mean, obviously, our Pasifika community, if I look in areas like South Auckland and Wellington, Porirua, we're big users of public transport in those areas. I mean, what kind of spell out the flow-on effects here and why it would have been a benefit? I'm going to throw you a bone here. Why would it have been a benefit to have had Labour in at the last election?
Yeah, well, there are a number of benefits actually. And look, I was in Auckland last night talking about public transport, and this was one of the issues that did come up. The reality is this. When Labour was in government, what we did do is we provided free or half price fares for younger members of the community and those that needed to access public transport. What the government has done is that they've scrapped that, but on top of that, they have basically said to councils, you need to make more money to pay for the costs that we will no longer continue to fund. And so it means that households in South Auckland, in Porirua and elsewhere around the countries are going to have to find more money in order to get to work, to get to church, to go about their business. So this is a direct result of the government saying basically we prefer to fund tax cuts, but at the same time, they're lumping additional costs on households, and it's going to make it much more tougher for people to get from A to B via public transport.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Look, let's turn our attention now from one issue to another. The Reserve Bank, of course, has cut the official cash rate by 50 basis points to 4.25%. That all sounds good. That sounds great. Very quick from the Prime Minister to come out and ultimately claim that it's thanks to the national government's handling of the books. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, it is good news for households and businesses that interest rates are going down, but this was always projected. This was projected in the long-term arrangements and forecasts that inflation and other costs would fall. So it's surprising that the Prime Minister, 12 months on, has basically tried to claim victory around this. The Reserve Bank, the decision makers that set the OCR, whether it goes up or down or remains static, are the ones that had signalled that this was going to be the case, well before this decision came. Everyone was expecting that a reduction would come. So it's disappointing again that Christopher Luxon is wanting to claim this as a victory or a win when it was already on the cards.
Given that this is another cut by the Reserve Bank, I mean, like you've said and I've said, this is ultimately a good thing in terms of interest rates coming down. What are the other sticking points, at least from Labour's perspective, in terms of the economy or cost of living?
Yeah, well, when we do look at the OCR and those cash rates coming down, at the same time, we need to step back and take a look at the facts. And the facts are this: unemployment is increasing. It is on the rise. We have 12,000 or more than 12,000 people in the building and construction sector, which is a key part of employment opportunities and training opportunities for our Pasifika population and community. 12,000 of those people are out of work. So this is not an economic sort of situation that is a rosy picture. The economy is not faring as strong as the Prime Minister may have thought he might have. And a lot of the decisions that are being taken, there are flow-on effects in terms of unemployment, in terms of people that are basically, moving out of work or out of particular sectors. And at the same time, this is all coming at the expense of tax cuts.
Yeah, and look, I just want to stick with the Prime Minister for a moment. A bit of a funny blunder, or I'm sure they're not laughing. Winston Peters yesterday suggested that Christopher Luxon is struggling as Prime Minister. I mean, jeepers, sometimes stories write themselves. Your thoughts on that comment from Winston Peters?
Well, I think, Winston Peters is often seen as someone who likes to speak on a whole range of different things. What we're starting to see with the coalition, and we have for quite some time actually, is that it is in a state of chaos. The decisions that have been taken are decisions that are taken by Winston Peters or David Seymour. It is a situation of the tail wagging the dog. So this surprise sort of comment, I guess, from Winston Peters yesterday is simply something that is identifying that the Prime Minister is struggling.
Interesting indeed. Look, I just want to get your reflections before I let you go, obviously, from one Cook Island brother to another. What do you think of the situation in the Cook Islands at the moment?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, the last time I was in the Cooks was as part of the Speaker's delegation earlier in the year, and it was a great opportunity to connect with the Cook Islands community and what was happening over there at the time. What we've seen in the last, month or so is a visit from the Prime Minister here to New Zealand, talking about deep sea mining and the like. Opportunities around that. I think that the Cook Islands do need to make their own decisions around this, and clearly New Zealanders, also more so Cook Islanders who are resident in New Zealand, have an interest. But what's really important is that the community voice is able to feed into any process. I'm not just talking about deep sea mining, but other decisions that are taken. It is a government that has been elected to take decisions, but in any government situation, it's also really important that they engage with the community as we do here when we're in government to hear the views so that decisions are taken that are right for the community.
Am I right in, oh, sorry, this is very cheeky of me, I know. Just before I let you go, am I right in thinking that there will be a vote on Labour's tax policy this weekend?
Oh, well, we are heading into our annual conference from tomorrow. It's the first time we've had an opportunity to come together as a team after the election. There'll be lots of conversations. There'll be lots of chit chat. There'll be sector opportunities. I'm not going to get ahead of any decisions that may or may not be taken, but it is an opportunity for the party faithful to, come together with everyone else and to have a little bit of a think, a bit of a reflection, and to perhaps have a conversation about where we might head to in the future.
Indeed. Can you rule out a capital gains tax chat, or can we, come on, let's play the game. Capital gains tax or wealth tax, ruling it out?
Well, look, I think, there are lots of things that'll be up for conversation and discussion. The great thing is that the Labour Party here in New Zealand is a very broad church. There'll be lots of views on a whole range of different things, and I look forward to engaging with party members and others around that when that time comes.
Certainly exciting stuff indeed. Hey, thank you very much. That is the Labour MP Tangi Utikere. You have a good rest of your day.
And to you, Will, always good to chat.